Hello, possums. Well, I'm back. Now, I made what I thought was a killer video yesterday. I really enjoyed making it. I was in a good mood. I had my happy face on because of all these polls. Rocked through the video, and then YouTube took it down. You ready for why they took it down? Nudity. Now, I promise I didn't take my clothes off. That would scare the horses. It was some cards I was using that, look, they're very stylized, but they had a naked body. So even though it's for over 18s, it was seen to be too much for YouTube land. A few cartoon characters, but never mind. I'm very grateful to YouTube in the big picture that we all have this forum. So I won't go on, even though I'd like to. But moving right along. So let me recap because quite a few of you saw the video, but for those who didn't, the key things that I asked that I think are important to repeat here. I did cards on whether Pam Bondi would be sacked or resign or whatever, and the answer was no, she'll survive this round, and Bongino will take the fall. All right, so that's probably not surprising, but she's also on borrowed time. She can't afford another screw up like this, but I think she's going to survive. I also did a read on Putin, the Yeti, and Musk because, you know, they're in this weird triangle because both Musk and the Yeti have long-standing connections with Russia. And despite their fight, where did that all go? And the take on that was they're all turning on each other now, including Russia and the Yeti. You know, he's doing thought bubbles about bombing Moscow and stuff. And I mean, um, but let me take it from here. The polls I was excited about. So, first of all, what percentage was it in the new Gallup poll? 64% of Americans think immigration is a good idea and important. That's a good figure. And why it's particularly good, could be higher, but because of course it's 88% or something amongst Dems, it's a 30% increase. And the majority of Republicans now disapprove of what the Yeti's doing with immigration. So I think that's a combination of things. It's a combination of people not liking the optics of heavily booted, armed, masked, marauding men prowling through cities, gathering up people en masse. That's not a good look, let alone going into schools and churches and private workplaces. So I don't think they like the look of it. But as I said almost a year ago now, people are finally realizing what immigrant workers actually do, and that is work. And they work really hard in a lot of the visible and invisible industries. And of course, American agriculture is now on its knees because the farmers voted to have their workers deported and now are putting it together and go, I didn't think this would happen. How did this happen? You know, like, Okay, so we're up to date. All right. Now let's take it forward here. I just want to recap too. I think the boycotts are going really well. And Jeff Bezos is now on the nose. Let's do a look at Bezos. I think people weren't impressed with the wedding. The $90 million wedding. I don't think people were excited and enraptured to see hundreds of millions of dollars for rich women to go into space. I don't think that was a good look. We know he is a terrible boss and Amazon workers work under bad conditions. So let's have a look at Bezos. Prime Day sales were down 41%. Let's have a look at Bezos and I'll just go back to my safeguards. Okay, King of Pentacles. Ah, yes, well, that would be him. Oh, I'll have to cover that. Oh, now with Bezos, here we go. King of Pentacles. Now, the thing is with uber wealthy people, every now and again, one out of 1,000 stands up like Warren Buffett did back in the day. Remember, I digress. Remember when Warren Buffett said, and this would be back in the 90s, why does my secretary pay more tax than I do? Right? So it's not all of them are bad people. It's just that most of them feel they deserve this role, and he is the kingpin. So he's the big kahuna in his own world. I don't think he listens to other people much. Um, I'm going to cover the nudie bits, as Hogarth would say, the rude bits. So the Lover's card, this is people coming together. And so, oops, habits die hard. So I think this is people coming together around these boycotts. This is him sitting pretty, and I don't think he's as worried as some of them, although so much of the merchandise comes through China. Because he's used to being the King of Pentacles, he'll just say, oh, look, I'll move the factories to Indonesia or Bangladesh or something. I don't like this. Instead of dealing with the issue, he just calculates how can I keep making billions exploiting another group of people. He's not a nice man. Mm. I used to think he was not the worst of the worst, but I'm beginning to wonder with Bezos. People are over the extravagant flaunting of wealth when they don't have any. I think we are actually at a critical time in history. And in terms of America's labor history, I think people are going to start standing up over these terrible conditions. Not right now. Not right now. People are just grateful to have a job. They're living in fear of losing their job. Please don't think I'm making light of this. But going forward, this has to change. We know that Walmart workers and so forth are paid employees who still qualify for SNAP because they're paid so badly. Right. This comes from worshipping money and buying into that thing that if someone's rich, it's because they're very smart or hardworking. I hate both those points of view because there's plenty of smart people who are not uber wealthy, and there's plenty of nepo babies who all they ever do is sit back and count their money. So I don't like that thinking. But then I'm Irish in background and we're a bit like that. It's also a very Australian thing. Like someone could be the richest guy, like James Packer's one of the richest men in Australia, and he used to live down the road from where I lived. It was a very mixed suburb. And Australians are upfront. You know, if they think you're a wanker, they'll say so. No amount of money is going to protect you from that. So I think this is not as humble a card as it appears. Right? Now, back to Bezos. I think there's going to be some legal problems for him. I think he's just thinking, I'll move everything out of China to avoid the tariffs and he'll be stopped or something. In other words, to sum that up, the Yeti's worst excesses regarding tariffs haven't quite been processed in Bezos's brain yet. But the other thing I don't understand is why the stock market, even though it goes up and down and up and down, um, let's see, how worried are the big players in the stock market really? Because we know it's a casino. We know it's the biggest confidence game in the world, literally. Con game, but confidence game. As long as the confidence in the principles is there, it'll just do its little slippity slides. When the confidence goes, you have a full-blown financial crisis. So I want to know behind the scenes, what are the big players thinking? What are the big players thinking? Let's have a look. Stock market. And I know a lot of you have 401k in the stock market. How interesting is that? Why are you upside down, Ben? These two cards are key. Okay. What we're witnessing, because I genuinely believe we are living through peak capitalism. So the idea that the whole illusion that keeps capitalism going, like these pieces of paper called currency are worth this and worth that. It was different in the old days because the US dollar, for example, had to be matched in gold, which was tangible and so forth. Then it had its era as the petrodollar. But now the gold standard's been wiped. That was 10 years ago or more or something. It's not actually pegged to anything. So we're in a karmic cycle of, I think, peak capitalism being exposed. Are they worried? I think they're very worried, to be honest with you, because all the grown-ups, including all big corporations, by definition, they're global and they're globalized, and every manufacturing place uses parts from everywhere else, etc. So this is a burden. The Yeti is a burden. They're at a crossroads. But for now, here's the Ace of Pentacles. When you're learning tarot, it can also be fool's gold. So I think what they're telling themselves and each other, I'm talking high finance here, we've got to keep it together. Let's just pretend it's all right. Okay. So for now, I think it'll go up and down, but it won't crash at this point. But it's fascinating seeing how the rest of the world is reacting to this. So I just had a little list here. I was just thinking about it earlier this morning. Who's not happy with the Yeti? Well, obviously Canada. India is really angry because it's part of the BRICS. And the Yeti has just announced a possible 200% tariff or something on BRICS. China, of course, is not amused. None of the BRICS countries are happy. The EU, absolutely furious because that's bound up with NATO and everyone has been let. The major ally has left the alliance, leaving everyone else to fend for themselves. So you know what? They're stepping up. Southeast Asia. So being in Australia, we're a bit more aware, not a lot, but we're much more aware of countries in Southeast Asia. Also, Latin America, because Brazil is attacked and also a BRIC. And Mexico has just joined as an observer to BRICS. That's code for Mexico is going to join the BRICS countries. Now, if you're not familiar with the term, sorry, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa were the original BRICS. Now there's 20 odd other countries have joined. And the idea behind BRICS, and this was before the Yeti, was to trade more with each other in the global south. It was also about having multiple poles of power instead of just this colossal United States juggernaut to which everyone else was subjugated. People were already upset with that for the last 50 years. They were getting more upset in the last 20 years. They were getting really over it in the last 10 years. So this has a history, right? So this behavior by the Yeti, he's gone to war with the world. Instead of trying to keep the BRICS on board for American farmers, auto, and everything else, he's done the opposite. He's done the absolute opposite. Okay, so let's have a little look here. Yeah, I want to have a quick look at Elon's folly, as we call it, the ketamine party, the drugged out Nazi party. Let's just have a quick look. Oops. Because let's be honest, he's struggling, and you have these colossal egos going at each other, which has to give you a bit of joy. But the last thing the world needs is Elon Musk starting a third party. Let's have a quick look here. He thinks he can. Oh, he gets the Pentacles. Oh, look at this. Oh, dear. Look, King of Wands with his big stick symbolically. But he gets both the Knight of Pentacles and the King of Pentacles that we were just talking about at length. This is in the cards of political tarot. This is the mercenary along with his inherited wealth. It's all about him. It's all about him. He might walk away because he has the attention span of a caterpillar. He might walk away himself. If not, hopefully, oh, please, praise the gods, people won't be fooled by it. But I'm not that confident that people won't be fooled by it. So we'll see, maybe not MAGA. I mean, it's hard to get your head around the mindset, isn't it? Like of MAGA, in the sense for all these long years, said, we fight for our right to be ignorant. We insist you take away our health care. We'll vote for you to make sure you take away our health care. We will fight for our women to bleed out in car parks because we're real Americans or whatever it is. And now they're falling apart over the Epstein files. Please explain. Isn't it weird what tips the scales? And I was just on a collaboration with Tea with Tanya, the wonderful Tanya Stigley, and Deanne and Linda G. It was so good to see Linda as well. And I was just having a little thought bubble myself there, and I thought, well, maybe MAGA is secretly sort of becoming more disenchanted and they needed an excuse. And for some reason, the Epstein stuff provides an excuse. I don't know. But it doesn't matter. The point is, they hate it and that's good. Okay. And once the seeds of doubt are sown in a cult movement, they do spread. So that's only good. Now, in other news, Trump, do you remember when Keir Starmer, don't start me on Keir Starmer, the Prime Minister of the UK, allegedly Labour, but he's not, he presented the Yeti in the Oval Office with an invitation from the UK to come visit. Why would you do that? Anyway, he did. And I think it was an invitation from King Charles, never mind. But here's the thing, they cleverly made it for September. And the reason they made it in September is because all the parliamentarians are away. So he can't speak to both houses of parliament. Macron recently spoke to the House of Commons and the House of Lords and gave impassioned, wonderful, memorable speeches. And they thought, if we're going to have the Yeti, we'll have him over when no one's here. You got to love that. You got to love that. All right. Now, another recap. I did a wonderful video with the psychic twins in Australia. I think I'd like to say they're national treasures. So if you want to hear three Australians going at it, I'll put the link up for you. And I'll see you soon. And I'm so sorry about the last video because I was so happy. I'm still happy. The polls are sinking. The Yeti is going down the toilet faster than a bout of diarrhea. Okay? So we have something to celebrate. All right, guys, take care and bless the Mexican rescuers. Bless. See you soon. Bye.